Alright, I'm going to try to make this quick. I mentioned my father passing away in a video recently, and some of the stuff I got, like some of these knives. Something else I picked up was my brothers basically didn't care about this, and it's not worth anything. It's an old Nikon D70, and it's kind of a funny story with this. He traded in his Nikon F3. My mother and him both had the same camera. He didn't use too much, like she had used hers so much. It was really beaten up. You've seen it before. I posted a video years ago about it when she passed away. But he had traded it in to B&H back when film was still pretty common. I think they got gave him a decent amount of money for it, and got the D70 when it was pretty new. But he didn't use it much, honestly. He got it. I think I was in college at the time. It was right around 2004. Maybe I don't know if he got it in 2005. That was right after I got out of college, but. He didn't use much, and then I would try to get my mother to use it, and I don't know. I feel like they just never really used it, and unless he had taken the pictures off the card, they're the only photos on the. This has an old CF card, like they used to do, and they're just pictures that I had actually taken with this, trying to show my mother how to use it years ago, and it's unfortunate they never used it, but it's I don't know. It's kind of a neat camera. So it's a APS-C, and it's a 6 megapixel CCD sensor. So it's kind of weird. It has this tiny little screen. Let me pull up a picture. So there's this tiny little LCD on the back. You can, I guess, kind of see it. I don't know. It kind of reminds me. How to turn off? It reminds me of like the Leica ME I had, which actually had a much bigger screen, but terrible resolution too. Just this is really small. I mean, this is like the size of like the top screen of some mirrorless cameras, like my XH1 or like a Nikon Z6 or something. But this does have its own top screen, obviously. But I was taking some pictures with it anyway, and they have a look. The colors and shit is the menu is kind of nice. The menu is super basic. People talk about Leica as really basic menus. This menu is crazy basic, but I think it's because this was such an old digital camera. It has like component video out or composite or whatever, coax video to like hook it up to a TV to play a slideshow, some weird ass stuff. But the menu is so basic. Such a basic camera, very little to do. But I was taking some pictures. I'll bring them up throughout this video. And the colors are nice, but they just don't have 6 megapixel. There's like really no resolution, and if you kind of crop in on them, you can kind of see it like blocking up and stuff. So that's kind of lame. But the colors are kind of nice. So I mean, I guess if you didn't get in too close, you probably could print a 4x6 with this and be okay. But it's kind of nice. I don't know, just the action. Listen to the shutter sound. Let me put this on manual, 80th of a second. You listen to this. Oh, here, let's do this. Autofocus kind of sucks. It's kind of a neat sound. It's kind of, I don't know. It's for. I mean, it's a digital camera, but it's kind of like it's kind of vintage. And he had like a little kit. He had this with the nifty 50. The cheap Nikon 1.8D, which is actually a nice lens. It has some type of older. It was a DX 18 to 70 3.5 to 4.5. I don't think they make this anymore. Old kit lens. It does have a little bit of like a weather seal lip of rubber, but I don't assume this is a weather seal lens. Kind of standard little mini kit zoom. But they don't do 18 to 70 now. Now they're all about 18 to 55. And I think they go usually 3.5 to 5.6 even. So having a 70 millimeter at 4.5 is kind of interesting. I don't know how this lens resolves on like a modern DX camera, but it's kind of an interesting lens. Seems like, I don't know, the build quality seems okay for a kit zoom. It's seems pretty decent. I guess Nikon can do the plastic lenses that feel pretty decent. Made in Thailand, so really cheap style rear cap. And then this kind of stupid ass Sigma. This is the stupidest hood. This is a thread-on hood. So you literally take off the cap and thread it on each time. There's no like quick disconnect. If you look at this, if I put this up close, you could see It's literally like a filter thread. And you have to thread it onto the front. And then this silly old matte texture Sigma style lens with a clutch. You can see all these lenses have the rubber has turned all like gray, and if you rub it really hard with your fingers, it kind of turns black. That was like at the bottom of the bottom. Here, let me see if I get it. You can start to see. This one just really stays gray. This is sort of like a AFD lens where you could see the aperture ring, where you can actually change. I think it has a lock. Maybe it doesn't. It seems like there's something that feels like a lock, but you're supposed. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there is a lock right here, and then it won't move. So vintage, more of a vintage Sigma. I think this is back when Sigmas weren't really known for being great quality, and they have this weird gray, almost like galaxy, starburst. I don't know. There's like a silver fleck in it. It's made in Japan though. Super extending. It's a macro. Again, I doubt I ever used this. It's probably pretty. I haven't played with it on this camera to see how slow or fast the autofocus is. EX Sigma, it says, if you look at the lens. And it's kind of funny if you look at this. It has like a protective plastic still on it. He never even peeled that off. So I don't think he used this much. I don't think he used this lens at all, to be honest. Just kind of weird that he got this kit and then never really used it. I don't know. That's kind of. I guess my dad did that with some stuff. Because I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I was like, oh, maybe it'll be kind of neat. And it's fun to play with, take some pictures. But if you look at the images, in my opinion, there's just not enough resolution and detail. I'm not really into the sharpness anyway. So that said, it's something I'll mess around with, or maybe let the kids play with. And honestly, for being a really cheap plastic camera, these are worth like $30. These bodies aren't worth anything. $50 or less. And I had to clean. This was super sticky. Like I had two different F100s at one point, film Nikons, and both of them the rubber on the film cover on the back was all super tacky, and I had to wipe it with a ton of rubbing alcohol to get it off. I was kind of doing that here. This side's not too bad. It's actually fine. It's like grippy like it should be, but this side was super sticky. Still a little sticky, but I got it better wiping with a ton of paper towel and alcohol. And then the door for the card is still very tacky, to the point that like you thought it's like your hands felt sticky after you played with it. There's something about the chemicals coming off these old rubbers. It's like it over years. This camera's like 20 years old. I don't know, off gases or something and gets all sticky. But I guess it's kind of neat, like a nostalgia item. But I don't think I would ever use this to take any serious pictures because it's just so low resolution, and I don't think the CCD like has some magic. I thought that when I had that Leica ME, but when I look back at those pictures, they're they're not impressive. The color noise is bad, and I don't know, too magenta-y in any way. I don't know if that's a Leica thing. But yeah, it's kind of neat. And honestly, this silver triangle thing kind of reminds me of the Nikon F6. They had that look to it too. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of like some holdover stuff from the last, I guess, pro film SLR that Nikon made. So yeah, it's kind of neat camera, a little throw around camera. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think it's something worthwhile in 2022? Like almost 20. I guess 20. It's like almost 20-year-old camera if you got it around 2004, I think. So who knows? And I also even have a SB 600 flash, which is funny because now I have two of this 50mm lens and two of that flash because my brother used to have a Nikon D90, I think, and he had that 50 and that flash, and he gave the D90 away to a friend some years ago because it similarly is worthless, 20-ish years later. But he gave me his SB 600 and his 50, and I was using it on my D700 a few years ago, and I had that briefly. But I still have the lens and the flash, and now I have two Nikon 50 1.8Ds and two Nikon SB 600s. So I'll have to, I don't know, sell one of them. It's not worth anything though. Maybe I'll just keep it around to use. I could try it with a remote trigger or something. Yeah, that's about it. Talk to you guys next time.